The drums beat at midnight. 3 rhythmic pulses, then silence. 3 more, then silence again. In the village of Adebayo, nestled between the sacred mountains and the great Osun River, everyone knew what those drums meant. Someone was dying. 17-year-old Kehinde sat up in her mat, her heart pounding. Through the thin walls of her hut, she could hear her father, Baba Ogun, shuffling around, gathering his healing instruments, the same instruments he'd been trying to teach her to use for years, the same instruments she had refused to touch. Kehinde, her father's voice cut through the darkness. The chief's son has been bitten by a snake. I need your help. Kehinde closed her eyes, pretending to sleep. She heard her father's footsteps pause at her door, heard his heavy sigh of disappointment. Then he left, his walking stick tapping against the earth as he hurried toward the chief's compound alone. Kehinde pulled her blanket tighter, but sleep wouldn't come. All she could think about was the city, Lagos, sprawling and bright on the horizon, just 2 days' journey away. A place where no one would expect her to grind herbs or chant prayers to ancestors she'd never met. Dawn broke with terrible news. Baba Ogun had saved the chief's son, but barely. His hands had trembled so badly during the procedure that he'd nearly administered the wrong antidote. The boy would live, but the whispers had already started. The great Baba Ogun is failing. His daughter refuses to learn. What will happen to us? We'll have no healer. We'll be cursed. That afternoon, the village elders gathered in the chief's compound. Kehinde was summoned. She walked through the village square, feeling every eye upon her, judging, questioning, pleading. Inside the compound, 12 elders sat in a semicircle. Her father stood at the center, looking older than she'd ever seen him. The chief, a mountain of a man with tribal scars across his face, spoke first. Kehinde, daughter of Ogun, your father has served this village for 43 years. He has delivered our children, healed our sick, and guided our dying to the ancestors. He has asked for only one thing in return, that you continue his legacy. Kehinde's throat tightened. She could feel the weight of generations pressing down on her shoulders. Tomorrow, you will take the sacred oath, the chief continued. You will become our healer. This is not a request. It is your duty, your destiny. The word destiny hit Kehinde like a slap. Anger flared in her chest, white hot and unstoppable. No, she said quietly. The elders gasped. Her father's face went pale. No, the chief repeated, his voice dangerously low. No, Kehinde's voice rose, echoing off the compound walls. I am not my father. I don't want to spend my life in this village crushing leaves and singing to spirits that may not even exist. I want to live. I want to see the world. You want to be selfish, her father interrupted, his voice breaking. For the first time in her life, Kehinde saw tears in his eyes. You want to abandon your people for dreams that'll leave you empty. Better empty than trapped, Kehinde shot back. You've trapped yourself in this village your whole life, father. But I won't let you trap me, too. The silence that followed was suffocating. Baba Ogun staggered backward as if she'd struck him. The chief rose to his feet, fury radiating from him. You shame your father. You shame your ancestors. If you will not honor your duty, then leave. But know this, if you walk away from us, you can never return. Never. Kehinde's hands were shaking, but she lifted her chin defiantly. Fine, I'll be gone by morning. She turned and walked out, leaving her father standing in the center of the compound, broken. Lagos was everything and nothing like Kehinde had imagined. The buildings scraped the sky, the traffic roared like angry lions, and everywhere, there were people, millions of people, all rushing, pushing, surviving. Kehinde arrived with one bag and 20,000 naira, every coin she'd saved since childhood. Within a week, it was gone. She found work at a fabric shop in Balogan Market, earning barely enough for a tiny room she shared with three other girls. The shop owner, Madame Bisola, was a hard woman with calculating eyes. "You're pretty," Madame Bisola said on Kehinde's first day. "That's good. Pretty girls sell more fabric. Smile at the customers, especially the men. Understand?" Kehinde understood. She smiled. She laughed at jokes that weren't funny. She let men's hands linger too long when they paid, and slowly, she earned enough to survive. Months blurred together. Kehinde made friends. Zara, who dreamed of being a singer. Chioma, who sent every naira home to her sick mother. And Femi, a smooth-talking guy who promised he'd make them all rich with his business connections. "Forget your village," Femi would say, passing around cheap gin in their cramped apartment. "You're city people now. You're better than those bush people." Kehinde would laugh and drink, but late at night, she'd remember her father's face when she'd called him trapped. She'd remember the disappointment in his eyes. She'd push the memories away. Then came the night that changed everything. It started with Zara complaining of a headache. By midnight, she was burning with fever, her body convulsing with chills. Kehinde and Kioma dragged her to the nearest hospital, a government clinic with peeling paint and broken windows. The waiting room was packed. Dozens of people slumped against walls, bleeding, coughing, moaning. A single nurse moved between them with exhausted, mechanical efficiency. "Please," Kehinde begged, "my friend is very sick. She needs help now." The nurse didn't even look up. "Take a number, wait your turn." "She can't wait. Look at her." "Everyone here can't wait. You think you're special?" The nurse's eyes were dead, hollowed out by too many nights like this. "Number 47. Current number is 12. Wait." Kehinde looked around the room. They'd be waiting for hours, maybe longer, and Zara was getting worse. Her lips were turning blue, her breathing shallow. Panic clawed at Kehinde's throat. Then, like a whisper from another life, she heard her father's voice in her memory. "Yellow fever begins with chills and headache. The lips turn blue as the liver fails. If you don't treat it within 12 hours, death comes quickly." Kehinde's hands started to shake. She knew this fever. She'd seen it before. She'd watched her father treat it dozens of times with a mixture of, what was it, neem leaves, bitter leaf, ginger root? But which ones? In what amounts? She couldn't remember. "No, no, no," Kehinde whispered, pressing her hands against her head. "Father, please help me remember." But the knowledge was just out of reach, fragmented and useless. Zara seized violently, her eyes rolling back. Kioma screamed. The nurse rushed over with a syringe, but Kehinde could see it in the nurse's face. She didn't know what she was treating. She was just hoping the generic antibiotic would work. It wouldn't. Kehinde knew it wouldn't. At 3 a.m., Zara stopped breathing. The doctors worked on her for 17 minutes before calling it. Time of death, 3:17 a.m. Cause, unknown fever. The hospital would investigate. There would be paperwork. Kehinde and Kioma could collect the body in 3 days. Kehinde walked out of that hospital and didn't stop walking until dawn. She wandered through the city streets, past the clubs still pounding with music, past the street children curled up in cardboard boxes, past her own reflection in a store window, a hollow-eyed stranger wearing city clothes, but carrying village ghosts. She had run from her destiny, and now her friend was dead. Kehinde didn't return to the apartment for 3 days. When she finally did, she found Kioma packing. "I'm going home," Kioma said flatly. "Back to my village. This city is a graveyard." "Kioma, You knew," Kioma interrupted, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Zara told me once that your father was a healer. She said you knew about herbs and medicine. Why didn't you help her?" The accusation hit Kehinde like a physical blow. I I didn't know enough. I rejected the training. I You let her die because you were too proud to use what you knew." Chioma's voice cracked. "You're not city people, Kehinde. You're not better. You're just lost." Chioma left that afternoon. Kehinde sat alone in the empty apartment, those words echoing. "You let her die. You let her die. You let her die." 2 weeks later, a boy appeared at Madame Bisola's shop. He couldn't have been more than 12, covered in dust from the road, clutching a crumpled letter. "Sister Kehinde?" he asked. Kehinde's heart stopped. She recognized him. Tunde, her younger brother. "Tunde, what are you doing here? How did you—" "Father is dying," Tunde said simply. "He sent me to find you." The world tilted. "What?" The sickness came again, the river fever. It's taken 20 people already. Father is trying to heal them, but he's too weak. He caught the fever himself. He says, he needs you, that you're the only one who can save the village." Kehinde laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "Me? I can't save anyone. I couldn't even save my friend. Tell Father to find someone else." Tunde's young face hardened. "There is no one else. Young Kofi has tried to help, but he doesn't have the gift. The knowledge dies with Father, and without a healer—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "Why should I help them?" Kehinde's voice turned cold. "They banished me. The chief said I could never return." "The chief is dead," Tunde said quietly. "The fever took him 4 days ago, along with his wife and 2 daughters. Please, sister. People are dying. Our people." Kehinde turned away, her chest tight. "I don't know enough. I'll make mistakes. People will die anyway." "They're dying now." Tunde grabbed her arm, tears streaming down his face. "At least if you come, they'll die knowing someone tried. Someone who carries Father's blood and the ancestors' gift, even if you've rejected it. Please, Kehinde, please." For a long moment, Kehinde stood frozen. Then she thought of Zara's blue lips, thought of Kioma's accusations, thought of her father's tears the day she left. She thought of all the ways she'd been running from herself. "I need to gather some things," she said finally. "We leave in an hour." The village was dying. That was Kehinde's first thought as she and Tunde crested the hill and looked down at Adebayo. Smoke rose from too few cooking fires. The market square was empty, and everywhere, on porches, in doorways, lying in the shade of trees, were the sick, bodies wrapped in blankets, shivering despite the heat, faces gray and hollow. The smell of death hung in the air like morning mist. "Dear God," Kehinde whispered. Tunde led her to their father's hut. Inside, Baba Ogun lay on his mat, barely recognizable. His skin hung loose on his bones, his breathing labored and wet. Young Kofi sat beside him, grinding herbs with shaking hands. Kehinde? Kofi looked up, his face a mixture of hope and desperation. Thank the ancestors. I've been trying to follow Baba's instructions, but I don't have your gift. I can't hear what the plants are telling me. I don't know which ones to use. Kehinde knelt beside her father. Papa, it's me. I'm home. Baba Ogun's eyes fluttered open. For a moment there was no recognition. Then, slowly, focus returned. My daughter, he breathed. You came back. I'm so sorry, Papa. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down Kahinda's face. I was wrong. I was stupid and selfish and wrong. Please forgive me. Please teach me what I need to know. Her father's hand, light as paper, touched her cheek. Nothing. To forgive. You needed to leave, to understand why you must return. Now listen carefully. I don't have much time. What followed was the most intense education of Kahinda's life. For 2 hours, Baba Ogun spoke, his voice growing weaker with each word. He told her about the river fever, how it came from parasites in stagnant water, how it attacked the liver and blood, how it spread faster than fire and dry grass. He described the cure, a precise mixture of bitter leaf, neem bark, African wormwood, and the rare purple flower that grew only on the north side of the sacred mountain. The proportions had to be exact. Too little, and the medicine wouldn't work. Too much, and it became poison. But Papa, Kehinde said, her voice shaking, I don't remember the amounts. I never paid attention. Baba Ogun smiled faintly. Your mind doesn't remember, but your hands watched for 18 years. Trust your hands, daughter. Trust the ancestors. They guide those who serve. His eyes closed. His breathing grew shallow. Papa, Papa, no, don't leave me. I need you. You don't need me, Baba Ogun whispered. You never did. The power was always yours. You just had to be broken enough to accept it. His hand went limp in hers. Kehinde didn't have time to grieve. 57 people were sick. More fell ill every hour, and she was their only hope. She sent Tunda and a group of young men to the sacred mountain for the purple flowers. She sent the women to gather neem bark and bitter leaf. She sent the children to collect clean water from the deep well, not the river. And then she began to work. Her hands moved without thought, crushing, grinding, measuring. She didn't know how she knew the right amounts, but somehow she did. It was as if generations of healers were guiding her fingers, whispering instructions in a language older than words. She started with the children, forcing the bitter medicine down their throats as they cried and fought. Then the elders. Then the strong young people who had days, maybe hours left. Kofi worked beside her, learning, watching, fetching, hour after hour, through the night and into the next day. Kehinde's hands blistered and bled. Her eyes burned with exhaustion, but she didn't stop. On the second night, a woman named Ife grabbed Kehinde's wrist. Ife's husband had been one of the elders who had condemned Kehinde. Why are you helping us? Ife asked, her voice weak, but her eyes fierce. After what we did to you? After we cast you out? Kehinde looked at the woman, really looked at her. She saw the fever in her eyes, the fear, the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, the healer's daughter would save her. Because, Kehinde said quietly, I finally understand what my father tried to teach me. This isn't about duty or destiny or debt. It's about love. and you can't outrun love, no matter how far you go. At dawn on the third day, the fever broke. Not in everyone. 3 more had died in the night, including old Mama Adiz, but the rest were recovering. 54 lives saved. Kehinde stumbled out of the healing hut and collapsed under the iroko tree. She'd done it. Impossibly, miraculously, she'd done it. Tunde found her there, tears streaming down his face. Sister, Papa, he's gone. He passed just before dawn. The grief that hit Kehinde was like a physical thing, crushing the air from her lungs. She'd saved the village, but she'd lost her father. She'd come home, but too late to tell him she understood. Too late to say thank you. Too late to say goodbye. They buried Baba Ogun on the hillside, overlooking the village he'd served his entire life. The whole village came, those he'd delivered as babies, those he'd healed 100 times, those who owed their lives to his wisdom. And they came for Kehinde too. One by one, they approached her with bowed heads. Thank you for returning. Thank you for saving my daughter. Thank you for forgiving us. Kehinde stood at her father's grave long after everyone else had left. She placed her hand on the fresh earth and whispered, I understand now, Papa. You weren't trapped here. This village wasn't your cage. It was your purpose. And now, it's mine. She looked out over Adebayo, the thatched roofs, the smoking cooking fires, the children playing in the square again, alive because she'd come home. I'll make you proud, she promised. I'll honor what you taught me, but I'll also change things. I'll teach everyone who wants to learn, not just my children. I'll combine the old ways with new knowledge from the city. I'll make sure that no village ever loses its healer again. The wind rustled through the iroko tree, almost like a whisper, almost like approval. Kehinde wiped her tears and walked back down the hill, back to the village, back to the people who needed her. She was home, finally, truly home. Sometimes we must lose ourselves to find our true purpose. The gifts we run from are often the ones we're meant to share with the world. And the greatest wisdom isn't found by escaping our roots. It's found by returning to them with eyes opened by experience and hearts humbled by loss.